Barakata Yahweh, Barakata Yahushai, Bahasham, Rakahakwadash, Barakatum. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, glory, and infinite honors to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahushai. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule and teach well. And peace and salutations to you, sincere Akim out there, pushing this word in truth and sincerity to the four corners of the globe. May you brothers endure until the end. This is the Brother Ra'aya with another video, and in this video, I'll be profiling an article from naturalnews.com, and you can read the title for yourselves, because as you know, with YT's algorithms, any particular word could get the video taken down. But I'm not even dealing with the topic in the title of this article, because in this article, which I would recommend reading because it has a lot of good information and videos in it, though of course you have to pick the meat from the bones. In the last video of this article, there's one particular topic the health ranger, Mike Adams, who runs this website, talks about, and it's not to do with the situation, it's to deal with geopolitics and prophecy, dealing with Russia and the United States and World War III, which is coming. Here's the video at the bottom. And I'm going to start at the 50-minute and 14-second mark and just listen. Actually, I'll minimize it.
Now, Russia, by the way, yesterday just tested the submarine launch of a hypersonic missile system that is rumored to be nuclear powered. Now, I still don't understand how that works, so I'm not sure about that. But they claim, or some people claim, it's nuclear powered, which means it could hover around, it could fly around for, I guess, days, and then they could deploy it whenever they want to, from the air. So it can fly around on standby mode using nuclear power somehow. I'm not sure how that works. Nevertheless, Russia does have hypersonic missiles that can be launched from submarines.
Here's the important part.
So even without the nuclear power, they now have missiles that can travel at, well, let's just take a guess. We know at minimum Mach 8, Mach 9, probably more like Mach 13, something like that. 13 times the speed of sound. If they can launch from submarines, which is what Putin just demonstrated, why does that affect you? What does that mean for those of you listening in North America? Well, you have, of course, the North Pole. You have the ice of the North Pole, and you have Russia's ability to break through the ice and to surface a submarine near the North Pole, and then to launch hypersonic missiles from the high ground of planet Earth. And those hypersonic missiles can then reach major U.S. cities such as Boston, New York, what have you, in mere minutes. I don't know the
And that's exactly what they're going to do. Crack that ice with those submarines and shoot nuclear-capable hypersonic missiles onto the United States of America, besides shooting missiles from their other assets up in that North Pole, Arctic Ocean region, shooting missiles from Russia itself and its assets, its military assets in that Arctic Ocean region, which I've done plenty of videos on in the past. And it's a well-known fact that Russia shooting its missiles across the Arctic Ocean region of the North Pole to hit its targets in the United States of America would be the shortest trajectory time for its missiles to reach the United States of America. With what Mike Adams is talking about in this particular segment of this video is biblical prophecy. Because as I just said at the beginning of the video, World War III will take place, and the two main combatants are going to be the United States of America, which is biblically known as Babylon the Great, as well as spiritual Sodom and Egypt as pursuant to Revelation 11 verse 8, and Russia, which is known as Gog in Ezekiel chapter 38, the spiritual Medes in Isaiah chapter 13 verse 17, as well as the North Country in Jeremiah chapter 50 verse 9.
Exact minutes, but let's just guess that it's 15 minutes. Okay, I haven't done the math on the actual distance and the speed of sound and so on, but let's just guess, 15, 20 minutes. In other words, very fast. No one can really react in that period of time. So Russia has developed a weapon and has proven it's deployable, a weapon that can change the dynamics of the tactical battlefield.
It will be nuclear capable.
That Russia is going to exert that force to defend its interests. And America does not have hypersonic missiles. You know why? Because America's military is too busy worshiping libtard philosophy. You know, it's all about high heels and lipstick now at the highest levels of the military commanders. I'm not talking about the troops themselves. They hate this stuff. But, you know, General Milley and Austin and all the libtards that are running the Pentagon now, all they care about is transgenderism in the military and gays in the military. Russia's building hypersonic missiles.
That's why that so-called great city in Revelation 11 verse 8, which is known as spiritual Sodom and Egypt, is the United States of America.
Systems that launch from submarines. I wish I could say that in a more macho voice, because it's a pretty macho thing. You know, we got missiles. They can fly at maybe 10 times the speed of sound, and they can strike you from the North freaking pole.
From the North Country.
While you're sleeping, right? And all we're doing is dancing around with, you know, are we going to fund transgender surgery for active duty military personnel? That kind of thing. So the war is going to be over like that because America's military has very close to zero readiness right now. Well, I shouldn't say that. There are
and in the scriptures it states that Babylon the Great, the United States of America, will be destroyed in 1 hour. This is Revelation chapter 18. I'm going to start at verse 9. And the kings of the earth who have committed fornication and lived deliciously with her, with Babylon the Great, the United States of America, shall bewail her and lament for her when they shall see the smoke of her burning from nuclear fire, because the United States of America is going to get hit with 200 million nuclear missiles. Verse 10, standing afar off for the fear of her torment, saying, Alas, alas, that great city, Babylon, that mighty city, for in 1 hour is thy judgment come. It's only going to take 1 hour for those nuclear missiles, as well as Yahushai Hamashiach, whom the world ignorantly refers to as so-called Jesus Christ, returning with the chariots, which people ignorantly refer to as so-called UFOs, shooting that concentrated heat or so-called laser beams onto the United States of America to completely wipe it off the face of the earth. It's going to be the biblical lake of fire from sea to shining sea, and then a desolate, uninhabitable wasteland afterwards.
Sectors of it that are very much ready, like the Navy, you know, the submarines and so on. But in terms of the leadership of the military, they have no readiness. They're clueless. They have no idea about anything. So we're going to be in a world of hurt, I should say, if anything happens and Russia decides to attack or China decides to attack and so on. And don't forget, by the way, America has been...
And they will, because it's all biblical prophecy. So that's it with this video. Now I'm going to get into some precepts. This is Jeremiah chapter 50 verse 9. For lo, I will raise and cause to come up against Babylon, the United States of America, an assembly of great nations from the North Country being Russia. And what did Mike Adams just say in that clip? Russia has submarines that are capable of breaking the ice in the North Pole, and then that would allow them to be able to shoot hypersonic missiles, which will be nuclear capable, onto the United States of America from the North Pole, as well as its military assets in the Arctic Ocean region and its military assets in the country itself. And here's a map of the North Pole and that Arctic Ocean region. You've got Russia right here, that North Country, shooting its missiles across the North Pole to hit its targets in that whore, Babylon, the United States of America. And that assembly of great nations from the North Country are not only Russia's allies, such as China, Iran, and North Korea, but also the United States of America's allies, such as Britain, France, Germany, and these other NATO nations that at some point during World War III are going to turn against the United States of America and ally themselves with that North country, Russia, to altogether shoot those 200 million nuclear missiles onto her. And they shall set themselves in array against her. From thence she shall be taken. Their arrows shall be as of a mighty expert man. None shall return in vain. And those arrows are symbolic for the nuclear missiles, because what you have to remember is that when the prophets saw these visions thousands of years ago, they didn't know what a modern day nuclear missile was, so they had to describe it the best way they could with what they knew during their times. Ancient weapons of war like bows and arrows, spears, javelins, flying swords, etc., etc. But now I'm going to close it out in Isaiah chapter 13. I'm going to start at verse 17. And the header reads, Babylon will fall to the Medes. And this isn't talking about ancient Babylon or the ancient Medes. This is talking about Babylon the Great, the United States of America, falling to the modern day spiritual Medes, that North country, Russia. Behold, I will stir up the Medes, the Russians against them, which shall not regard silver, and as for gold, they shall not delight in it. When the time comes for the Most High to put the Spirit on those spiritual Medes, Russia, and these other countries to shoot their nuclear missiles onto the U.S., nothing will stop them from pushing that red button. No peace treaties, peace talks, etc., etc. Their bows also shall dash the young men to pieces. And what do bows shoot? Arrows. So those bows are symbolic for the silos and other launch platforms that those nuclear missiles are going to be fired from. And they shall have no pity on the fruit of the womb. Their eye shall not spare children. The only people that are going to make it out of the United States of America are the elect of the nation of Israel, the 144,000, and the rest of the righteous 1/3 of you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, as well as the Israelite foreigners who look like these heathen nations. As for 2/3 of the nation of Israel, who are hard-headed and refuse to return under their power, and you other heathen nations in Babylon the Great, you're going to be burned up by that nuclear fire. You're going to be the fuel to the fire. And Babylon, the United States of America, the glory of kingdoms, the beauty of the Chaldees' excellency, shall be as when the Most High overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah. And how did the Most High overthrow ancient Sodom and Gomorrah? With fire and brimstone from the sky. And he's going to overthrow this modern day Sodom and Gomorrah with modern fire and brimstone from the sky. Those 200 million nuclear missiles. And as I've been saying throughout the video, besides being known as Babylon the Great in the scriptures, the United States of America is also known as spiritual Sodom and Egypt, as pursuant to Revelation 11 verse 8. And Mike Adams in that clip gave some examples of why this country is known as spiritual Sodom and Egypt. Verse 20, it shall never be inhabited, neither shall it be dwelt in from generation to generation. And that's how we know this isn't talking about ancient Babylon, because people are still dwelling there to this day, because ancient Babylon is modern day Iraq. Neither shall the Arabian pitch tent there, neither shall the shepherds make their fold there. When those 200 million nuclear missiles hit the United States of America, it's going to be turned into the biblical lake of fire from sea to shining sea, and then a desolate, uninhabitable wasteland afterwards where no man, woman, or child will ever set foot on ever again. And after a time, only desert creatures will dwell there, as it's about to say in verse 21. But wild beasts of the desert shall lie there, and their houses shall be full of doleful creatures, and owls shall dwell there, and satyrs shall dance there. And when everything's said and done, the former United States of America, Babylon the Great, spiritual Sodom and Egypt will stand as an eternal memorial as to what a wicked kingdom looked like, how not to govern the earth, and what the judgment and punishment was for afflicting the apple of the Most High's eye, the true children of Israel, who are the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. So that's it with this video. And with this video, I hope you sincere Akim are edified. Just keep strong and keep pushing this word. We're almost out of this final wicked captivity of the heathen nations, chiefly of the Edomites, primarily from the United States of America. So as always, I'm going to say Abad Babal, Kwam Yasharala, and until next time, Shalom.